Welcome to Testimony Mountain. I'm so glad you're here with us today, and I'm delighted to have a new friend, Siobhan, with us today to share her testimony. And so I know you'll be blessed as she shares. So, Siobhan, would you just, wherever you want to start, tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey with the Lord?
Okay. Adena, I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity because I know the power of saying our testimony.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be quite honest, it's been a long time since I have. And so, just to tell you about myself, I'm the youngest of 5 children. I'm from a military family. Um, my mom, my dad, my grandfather were all in the Navy. In fact, my dad was in Antarctica when I was born in Operation Deep Freeze in 1962. So
Wow.
that's fascinating now that I feel like I've gotten a new set of eyes in the last couple of years and have really been trying to put the pieces of this, what we call the clown world,
Yep.
in place, and so many things don't make sense. But then when you look at what we've been taught, none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
And we've been hearing a lot about Antarctica and about military family. I've done some investigating on my own because I want more than anything just to know the truth
Yeah.
as best I can. What I don't want is to believe lies.
Yes.
Just because I've been told it, I've been taught it. Um, I understand now that what we've been is programmed
Mhm.
to believe his story, like they say. It's not history; it's his story, and it's not the Lord's story. Um, I became interested in, and I feel like God just really opened my eyes maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. Although I've been saved since I was 18, but I bought into pretty much what I've been told,
Yeah.
uh, especially concerning the world we live in, especially concerning the news and the current events.
Mhm.
Um, Now, as I was saying, one of the things that became fascinating to me is the story of Antarctica because of my personal tie, and I, I've questioned myself. I'm not sure, I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes. I was saying, you know, uh, I've become aware of how we become programmed, and I became aware of perhaps I myself have been programmed due to the military connections. Um, and I was also raised Roman Catholic. I went to Catholic school my whole life. Graduated 12th grade from a Catholic school. Um, I don't have any bad memories of these things, but
Mhm.
I don't really have very many memories at all when it
Yes.
comes down to it. Um, I had written in my testimony, one of my earliest memories is so odd. I remember waking up from a very bad dream, but the dream seemed so real. And in all honesty, I've only had about 3 dreams that were as real as this one. I
Mhm.
don't generally remember my dreams, but I was about 4 years old, 5 years old. I was about 4, and I remember I woke up terrified. I had seen myself in a classroom. Where a teacher was standing in front of a freestanding blackboard, and she was asking questions, and when one of the children had answered incorrectly, she called him up and he went to a guillotine and his head was removed.
Wow.
It's crazy, but yeah, it kind of set me off for school, like with a real negative attitude and approach. And
Yes.
I, I feel like, I've always been, all through school, I was scared of the authorities. I didn't do very well in school. I didn't do horribly, but I barely got by. Right, all through school, and that when it came to a subject I was interested in, I'd excel. But if I wasn't interested, I'd fail, and there was nothing in between. And that pretty much dictated the course of my life, where, either I excel at something or I don't try at all and fare miserably.
Yeah.
Adena, I don't remember if it was on your show, but as I've looked into dissociative identity disorder, and I realized, that my personality had been shattered through many traumatic, primarily sexual experiences in my life. It seemed to happen at intervals every 7 years. I remember, specifically at 12 and then at 17 and then at 29, certain times I'd be fine and, dandy and in between, but then these um, very um, not normal situations would occur in my life, and I know they're not normal because I tried to share these experiences with other people, and I was ostracized in a sense. I was unrelatable at that point, and so I learned how to internalize and not discuss these situations. Even looking back, I remember some of my memories. It's weird, but I feel like it's okay to say how I remember things at this point, where I didn't feel this way before watching your show and hearing people like yourself and like Jesse and and uh, Vicky and telling their little stories and or listening and offering compassion to people who have kind of odd stories and odd memories. But looking back on a lot of the memories, especially sexual memories, it's like looking at a negative. I don't see the colors of people. It's like a red background with black figures.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Why?
Yeah.
But it's just something that I feel like, there's parts of me I want to explore, but there's also a part of me that shuts things off.
Mm-hmm.
And even just the other day, I'm trying to explore these parts of myself, but then I feel myself just shutting down, like, nope,
Yeah.
don't want to go there. There's no memory there, and
It's not an easy journey. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
yeah, I feel like I'm stuck. And I remember, I think it was on your show that you went over, it might have been like a list of like characteristics of people who possibly been through SRA or various trauma, and the memory is a big one, but the like the feeling of being stuck.
Mm-hmm.
The I've always been a very hard worker, very diligent, timely, considerate, all those good things, and it's moved me right up the ladder. But then, just as I'm supposed to have an opportunity, I blow it for myself. I
Yes.
purposely destroy the opportunity. I no show, no call.
Mm-hmm.
Things that aren't even in my character or work ethic, but just to like ruin it. And
Yeah. That
yeah,
self-sabotage is a big deal when we have parts that are sabotaging, what's going on. So yeah, I get it.
and it's like, I'm 62 years old. Um, I've had 7 children. One passed away at an early age. I'm about to have my 13th grandchild, and
Wow.
I want to be successful. I want to get past this. You know,
Yes.
I want to succeed, and I want to be useful to the Lord. I
Yes.
don't want to be hard and have all these multiple. I'm not. I don't know, personalities, parts of my personality. That come up, that take over, that act a certain way to get me through certain situations, but it don't work things to my good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that's why I wanted to come on and just I want to get past this in my own personal life.
Yes.
You know.
And I so appreciate your courage in coming forward, because really the awareness of these things is the first step. And sometimes it can feel like the the dissociation or the amnesia is easier, you know. And I struggle with that sometimes too, going like, hey, it'd be a whole lot easier just to pretend all that doesn't exist and just keep my normal life, because I have a pretty good normal life outside of all of that. But it's the truth that will set us free. And so I just honor your courage in coming forward, because that's where change can happen. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I don't know if I have anything else to say.
Well, how have you seen the Lord carry you through this time?
Okay. Now, I said I was raised Catholic, and I've always had a relationship with God since I was a baby. I can remember. Now, I was taught the Catholic way, and I remember being an infant, and I felt a presence that I thought was Mary, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel now as Jesus came and sat with me and comforted me, and you know I remember in school learning about the guardian angels, and I think about for 2 years I scooted over my desk so my guardian angel could sit next to me.
I love that.
And I went through all the uh, the sacraments
Mm-hmm.
and things, but when I became um, in my early teens, started to experiment with drugs and sex, and got lost, and felt empty and dead inside, and I remember a few people in my community had gotten saved, some cool kids, that
Mm-hmm.
really influenced me. And I went to church with them, and found the Lord, was baptized with the Holy Spirit, and when I was 18, and began a Christian life. I got married at 19 and began my family. That again, I had met a man in church with very strong, dominating personality, who had a past, had been in prison, um, and fell in love with me. And I really honestly, at that time in my young mind, thought I might be the only person who can really love this man, because he wasn't really that likable. He had a lot of positive traits and things, but the overwhelming personality was offensive. And so I married him, and I stayed married, and we had 4 children together. Every 2 years we had a baby. And when he wasn't drinking or doing drugs, he was all right. I guess he was pretty good. But once he got into the alcohol and the drugs and running around, it was overwhelming to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I myself fell back into the ways of the world myself, because I felt like you know if he goes out one night, then I need to go out one night. I really just wanted to go out with him, but he wasn't having it. He didn't want to take me out with him, so I got him to
Mm-hmm.
agree to let me go out. And that opened a whole Pandora's box of trouble for me, and being exploited because I had been so sheltered for so long.
Yeah.
And when I went back into the world, I was raped, and I suffered shortly after the birth of my fourth child. Um, and I say shortly, it was 4 weeks after.
Wow.
And yeah, it was awful. And I had been pretty much quiet in the neighborhood because I was busy with little children, but the people involved broadcast that information out to the small community, and it was a thing. It was a thing, and you know, it we were not able to recover, and I was divorced, came back to the Lord. My whole life has been, God just rescuing me out of
Mm-hmm.
the situations that I've been in. Um, I married probably because I had 4 little children under the age of 7, and needed some help, and
Mm-hmm.
we served the Lord, and things were good for a number of years with my second husband, who we went to church and, had the kids involved. But then again, that old Satan sneaks on in, and I ended up, we had 3 children together.
Mm-hmm.
While we were together, I lost the second child when she was only 6 weeks old.
I'm so sorry.
And it really broke me.
Yeah.
And this is 23 years ago, and I'm tearing up,
Mm-hmm.
because everything changed. It's like you'd want it to pull your family together. You'd want those kind of situations, but it's very difficult, and it's not uncommon. The death of a child is, a leading cause of divorce, and
Yeah.
we ended up divorcing. Eventually, we went through times of trying different things that the world offers in our marriage that, of course, don't work and cause a lot of pain and embarrassment to everybody. And really honestly, that's how my life has been. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but God is faithful and God is just, and God delivers you, and you might suffer for the consequences of things you do, but you know I know when I turn to the Lord that He puts me in a safe place every time.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and I feel like that's what He's doing now. I have nothing, but I have Jesus, so I have everything,
Yes. Yes.
and that's good because that's the only safe place to be. And
Definitely is.
without, I never lack any good thing. I was so worried because I have so many children, I have so many cares, and my kids, they're each one is its own story. They're Each one is such a blessing to me, but
Yeah.
nobody's perfect. And one of my sons just recently had to go to prison or he's in jail. He's not in prison, but he's been in jail for a couple months, and it really broke my heart because it was the first time he was really doing well, and he had his own place and a job, and you know he ended up going the wrong way, getting in a little some trouble. But
Mm-hmm.
I was really worried because I thought he lost everything that he had worked hard for, and I don't have a car, so I was really trying to get a ride to get his stuff before his apartment was emptied out, but I never could do that. But God knows how much that bothered me and it hurt me, and I began looking to replace items so he'd have some things when he came out, like some clothes and stuff. I was looking on eBay for lot deals, and I couldn't really do anything. Don't you know, one day I'm sitting here in my living room, I hear a loud knock on my door, and here the lady whose apartment that he had rented, her husband are Christians, and they had found the address from some paperwork he had given them. They had emptied the apartment, bagged all his stuff. They didn't throw anything away. Nothing.
Oh.
And I tell you, boy, that filled my soul. I mean, it's like, I believe, because God knows,
Yes.
God knows. And He uses people around you of like mind and spirit in ways, you know, where I couldn't reach Him, but He could. He let
Yeah.
Him know what to do and where to find me. So at least He has that when He comes out. You know, I appreciate God so much. I love God. I've failed so much as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, as a wife, as a Christian, but God has never failed me,
That's right.
and I'm so thankful for that.
That is so beautiful. And I love that testimony of God's provision is that He sees and He knows, and He's so gentle and tender with us on our journey. When we look back at all the times we've messed up, and yet He has always been there.
Amen.
And He will always be there no matter what. And so it's this step by step journey that He is so faithful.
Yes.
So beautiful, Siobhan.
Well, thank
Anything else you want to share?
No, I just want to thank you also for sharing so much of yourself and giving back to the Christian community, and as well as unsaved people who come across these testimonies and
Yes.
gain faith, and
Yes.
salvation.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing.
That is my hope and desire. So beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Shabana. I just honor your journey, and I know that the Lord has so much more for you as you continue to walk this out. And so
Thank,
thank you for the courage to share today. We love that.
thank you so much.
And I just want to let those of you know who are watching, encourage you to share this, pass it on. There may be other people who are struggling in similar circumstances and just need encouragement that the Lord is with us moment by moment. And if you have a testimony, we're always happy to hear it and to share it, because there is power as we share the testimony of what God has done in our lives. So thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll see you next time on Testimony Mountain.